I rebuke. I rebuke. I rebuke. All right. We give praise and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahuah HaMashiach. We bless his Kadesh Shabbat. We pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures for any of you think you have eternal life, and there they will testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from you. I know you, but you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe but receive honor one from another and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you, the Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Proverbs 22:4. By humility and the fear of Yahuah are riches, honor, and life. Well, of course, we've been talking about that. That's the Anava, or the Anav for short, which is meekness, the ability to submit. So as we discussed on Wednesday, that you have to have the ability to submit and reverence and honor Yahuah, which many people in this earth not have. Let's take a look at Psalms chapter 22. You can get your Psalms 22 and Psalms 25. It ain't gonna hurt nobody, because we want to zero in on me. We want to pick this up in Psalms 22. I don't even know where I want to start. Screw it. I'll work my way through the entirety of the song. You can pick it up at verse 1. My Elohim, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me and from the words of my roaring? So first things first. Some of this stuff may seem to be redundant. Y'all know what that is in the text. That's in Matthew 27. We're not going to go read that. But what we're going to read is the prophet of Habakkuk chapter 1. Again, that's what we're going to read. And from that, we will go read Matthew chapter 16. Because we're just trying to set the stage. Because the first thing you're looking at is that David is crying out or writing about a vision of someone saying that they have been forsaken of Elohim. When you look at far in that verse, it's Rakot, and it's something that is far away, distant. Rosh, Kot, U, and Ku. So we see how there's been a separation and a securing of the Almighty from light. He separated the light from this man. He's made it far from it. But let's take a look at something, right? And I just came here honestly for verse 2. Back in chapter 1 and verse 2. O Yahuah, how long shall I cry and you will not hear? Even cry out unto you of violence, and you will not save. Why do you show me iniquity and cause me to behold grievance? For spoiling and violence are before me, and there are that raise up strife and contention. Therefore the law is slacked, judgment do not go forth, for the wicked do compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceed. And David is writing here, why are you so far from helping me? When we look at helping me in that Psalms 22:1, of course, you know it's Yeshua, which is salvation. Why is salvation so far from me? Let's look and see why salvation must be so far from him. I mentioned Sunday. Let's go to Matthew 16. From Matthew 16 to John chapter 11. It's something else I want to share too, because I was talking about this earlier, why it's in the forefront of my mind. And what I was discussing was this here, because I mentioned this to y'all on Wednesday. And what I was mentioning was here because I was asked, were we going to eat bitter herbs on Passover? It's funny because my phone alerted me that Passover was coming up. And I said, hey, we don't follow that time. But thanks for the heads up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of brothers during Passover, they eat bitter herbs as contained in Exodus chapter 12. And I was asked, do we eat bitter herbs? And the answer is absolutely not. And the reason being is, if we're going to eat the bitter herbs, then you got to do everything that is contained in Exodus chapter 12. You can't go into stuff and pick and choose which parts of it you're going to do. That's no different than what nigga I done told you what niggas do for tabernacles. That man didn't tell you to go to Walmart and go buy a Coleman tent talking about you done made a booth. That is not a booth. That is a tent. But the reason why I mention that is this, because that is an example of what Paul meant, that if you're going to keep the law, you're a debtor to keep the whole thing. You're going to have to keep the whole thing. That means every single solitary nuance. You can't say, oh, this see Mashiach deal with this here, so I ain't got to do that. No, you can't do that. See, the reason why I mention this here, because you have the letter of the law, and then you have the spirit of the law. Now, I mentioned this is something I mentioned to y'all on Wednesday, that a man cannot commit adultery unless he sleeps with another man's wife. Meaning that, of course, because everybody knows that, the text allows for a man to have another wife. That is the letter of the law. But the spirit of the law is a man departs from his father and his mother and cleaves to his wife, and they be one flesh, because there's one body, one Elohim, one immersion. That's the difference. See, that's the letter. See, you could talk to somebody and they say, well, there's no law condemning it, and they're absolutely right. But you're keeping the letter of the law, but the Ruach is not in the letter. So you're going to miss the intent or the understanding of Elohim, and you're going to perish. I was mentioning that because if a man technically cannot commit adultery by sleeping with another woman who is not his wife, then what does that mean? That means he has leeway to take him another woman. That's what that means. But you're still going to perish. See, Paul, come over here to Romans 2 before I even continue on my point of what I'm trying to make. Romans chapter 2, verse 22. You say a man should not commit adultery. It's good. Back that up to 20. An instructor of the foolish, a teacher of babes, which have the form of knowledge of and of the truth and the law. Therefore, which teach another, teach you not yourself. Do you preach a man should not steal? Do you steal? You say that a man should not commit adultery. Do you commit adultery? You that abhor idols, do you commit sacrilege? You that make your boast of the law there through breaking the law, dishonor your Elohim. For the name of Elohim is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written. For circumcision truly profit if you keep the law. If you be a breaker of the law, your circumcision is made uncircumcision. Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge you who by the letter and circumcision do transgress the law? For he that is not a Yahudim, which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh. But he is a Yahudim, which is one inwardly, and circumcision is of the heart and in the Ruach, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of Elohim. Again, he say, whose praise is in the Ruach and not in the letter. Remember that Yahushua told you in John chapter 6, verse 63, that the words that I speak unto you, they are Ruach and they are life. Because he said that my Father gave me a commandment, and I know that his commandment is life everlasting. Because he came to give you the agreement of everlasting life. So when you look at that in the regard, like I said, Yahushua is the last Adam. When you look at the garden, which you know was the paradise, and he told you that Jerusalem would be the as the Garden of Eden, and everything would go back as it was to the first. As it was at the first, it was one man and one woman, the son of Elohim, Adam, and the mother of all living, Eve. Eve being representative of Yasharal, because Yasharal is the one who sinned and therefore brought forth the death, and the son of Elohim had to die in order to redeem his wife. Y'all know this. We done went over this before in the past. So when you look at the letter of the law, because you can read it Genesis chapter 4, Lamech, he had more than one. That's the letter. You are allowed to do that. You can do whatever you want to do. But when you come to stand before this man's throne, he's going to condemn you for it. Because that was not the Ruach or the spirit of Elohim. That was not his intent. So since that was not his intent, see, that's where a lot of brothers get it messed up at. And see, again, I told you before, I don't care how many wives a nigga got. That's your business. You're going to have to answer to Yahuah for that. I really don't care. You know what I'm talking about? So just let that be known. But I got more respect for dudes who upfront about it and say that's what they want. That's what they're going to do. Than niggas who cap about it. You know what I'm saying? But of course, we're dealing with Mashiach. So if you're dealing with Mashiach, you're going to have that level of understanding. See, that is important. It's important because of the humility and the honor and submitting to the will, because you're going to read where this man is going to mention that. I want you to return to Mark chapter 10. Mark chapter 10 and verse 4. That was John 11 I mentioned. We'll go around there in a moment. Mark chapter 10 and verse 4. And they said, Moses suffered to write a bill of divorcement to put her away. Yahushua answered and said unto them, for the hardness of your hearts he wrote you this precept. But from the beginning of creation, Elohim made them male and female. So that's what we have to go back. We have to pause. We have to get some understanding. We have to know what the law says and where he's getting this from. Genesis 5. Y'all already know Genesis 5 is our link to Luke chapter 3. And the genealogy that is enumerated there. Genesis 5 and 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. So understand that this is a book that details the chronicles of the generation that descend from Adam. And the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him, male and female created he them, and Baruch them, and called their name Adam, and the day when they were created. Now see, this is the day that when he took man from the dust of the ground, breathed into him, and man became a living soul, and then took the woman out of his side. Well, when it comes down to Mashiach, and again, it still returns back to his shalom, man, returns back to his meekness and fear, or his submission and reverence. You understand? So when Mashiach comes up out of the grave and he's resurrected from the dead, this is when he is the second Adam, man taken from the dust of the ground, Ruach breathed into him, where he is made a quickening Ruach. Therefore, because if you know Ephesians, it tells you that, and the whole family of heaven and earth is named after this man. Matter of fact, go to Ephesians 3 so you can see it for yourself. Ephesians 3 so you can see it for yourself. Ephesians 3, verse 10. To the intent now that unto the principalities and powers in heavenly places might be known by the house, the manifold wisdom of Elohim, according to the eternal purpose which he purposed in Mashiach Yahushua our Lord, and whom we have boldness and access with confidence by faith of him. Wherefore I desire that you faint not at my tribulations for you, which is for your esteem. For this cause I bow my knees unto Abba, my Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, of whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named. See, this is why when Yahushua was walking the earth, he kept calling the son of Adam or the son of man. Because whether you are the house of Shem, whether you are the house of Yafet, or whether you are the house of Ham, you are named after Adam. See, when they like to say mankind, they calling you Adam. Y'all all aware of that, right? Y'all know that, right? Are you aware of that? Everybody's named after Adam. He's the first man. Everybody is named after Adam. Simple as that. Adam name literally means man. When somebody says mankind, man, men, Adam, every time. So you can see how these two things link together. I mentioned that because you know it, but you don't think about it. You understand what I'm saying? You know it, but you don't think about that everybody's named after Adam. It doesn't matter what nationality of people you are, you're named after Adam because everybody comes from Adam. This is why he tells you there's neither bond nor free, nor male nor female in Mashiach, because if you in Mashiach, you're named after him. Everyone who is a part of him, indeed, sir, indeed. You know what I'm saying? But I'm mentioning this here because this is not some great piece of information. It's just to bring something to the forefront of your mind so you can see why Paul come back and tell you that the whole family in heaven and earth is named after the second Adam, because the whole family in earth was named after the first Adam. And the intent for the first Adam was one woman, because that was the intent in heaven, because Yahuah always had one woman, and that woman was Yasharal. That was the intent. If the other nations want to be joined unto Yasharal, then they have to be like his wife. He's not accepting anything other than the standard that he set for his wife. See, that is something that men are supposed to learn, that they're not supposed to accept anything other than the standard that has been set. See, there's an older lady on my page. She's been going in all day long about men wanting beautiful women. And see, that's ugly hoe talk. See, I say that because women who are attractive, they don't talk like that. Why men gotta want outer beauty? Why you can't? Attractive women don't talk like that. Matter of fact, let me not even say attractive. Women who can get a man don't talk like that. Women who can't get a man for other than sexual dalliances, that's how they talk. The reason why I say this is no one can know the good character that you have unless they find you attractive. So you can't look like Magilla Gorilla and Jabba the Hutt and think that somebody's going to take the time to learn about your sterling personality, because the reverse is you're not going to want to take the time to learn about a man's sterling personality if he's broke. See, he can be ugly with some money and you'll take the time to get to know him. He can't be ugly and broke. That's a double negative. You remember that from math class. That's not going to work. But see, nobody want to have that conversation. We've had that conversation when Brad were here, right? Why do beautiful people get allowances? Because they're beautiful. And it just is what it is. You understand? And that's what y'all church people like to say when y'all was in the church. That paper ain't fair. Well, get over it. You know what I'm talking about? Get over it. Because it is what it is. Because guess what? I mentioned that because there was disciples that Mashiach had favor towards more than the others. It said that John was the disciple whom he loved, and them boys had a problem with that. Peter was the one upon whose rock he was going to build his house. People have reasons for whatever reasons that they have. Should a woman's looks be the only reason that you choose her? Absolutely not. But one thing we was listening to brother say last night, when you dealing with the creme de la creme of women, well, that junk come with a cost. I sure hope you can pay it. Most men ain't never dealt with real beautiful women and know the things that come along with dealing with them, because they can be highly aggravating. They're highly entitled. They're very vain. They're highly conceited. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't know about that type of stuff because her beauty gives her access everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't talking about you had to be with an actual highly top ranked woman, but if you've been in their presence, they conduct themselves differently because everything is given to them and handed to them. That's a hard thing for men to understand because you don't have that type of life. You only have that type of life if you're wealthy. You understand? A very, very beautiful woman, she can walk into anywhere, anytime, and people will fawn all over her and give her whatever she desires. She doesn't have to work for anything. She doesn't have to do anything. Why do I mention that? Because that's what Yahuah told you in Ezekiel chapter 16. He gave you the best of everything and made you the most beautiful woman on the face of the earth, and you trusted off in your beauty, and you became entitled and vain and evil in your doings. And he had to strip you of everything that you had. See, that happens to the 10 woman when she gets older and her looks fade. See, that's the correlation for you with Yasharal and that. See, your look faded because Yahuah faded it for you. See, we still in that intent when you find out you Israel. Now you feel like you beautiful all over again, and here comes the conceit, here comes the vanity, here comes the entitlement, and here's all these things. See, the difference is that Yahuah is not willing to pay the cost for a woman like that. Because a woman like that is not going to want to pay the cost to be with a upper echelon man, aka Yahushua HaMashiach. See, a woman like that, she's not going to be willing to pay that cost. See, she's not going to humble herself and become meek and submit to his will, because she's going to have the thought process that it's a blessing for you to do this for me, and that you ought to celebrate me. You know what I'm saying? This is why we were talking about the praise aspect. I don't care how it is. You ought to be praising this man by mentioning his gospel to whomever will listen when opportunity presents itself, not as a means to try to win them over or flex your scriptural knowledge, but just the fact that you just hold your husband in that high of a regard. You understand? You should be willing to serve and esteem this man every chance that you get. The same way I mentioned, if people want to sing songs of praise, that's their business. Why would you stop them? Do you know that that's wild? That we live in a generation of Hebrews that feel like that it is a shameful thing to sing praises to your husband. That's weird. All they want to do is walk around. What they like to say, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. That's all dudes want to do. You want to fly for the internet. But it's bigger than that. But see, we looking at that because he told you that in the beginning that this is what it was, that he made it male and female. The whole family of the earth is named after this man. That is the spirit of the law. That is the intent. The intent is Yahuah and Yasharal. That's the intent. Yeah, he had Yahuah, Yasharal, and Yehudah, but that wasn't his intent. Because what caused the split? Sin. So that wasn't the intent. That's why you see, that's why when we look at in the text, of course, as you know, as you look at your patriarchs, you look at your Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, it was only one of them that had more than one wife. And when you look at it, that also shows you the difference between the intent and the letter, because it was not Jacob's intent to be married to two women. See, everybody like to talk about how he had more than one. That was not his intent. He had no intentions on marrying Leah. His intention was only to marry Rachel. But because he went by the letter of the letter of the law being that the elder sister is not given away, the younger sister is not given away before the elder sister, that's why he took her. And then, of course, because Rachel was not able to be to conceive, that's why she gave him a concubine. That is what happened in that culture. That's how you end up with 4 women producing 11 sons and 1 daughter. You know what I'm saying? That's how that happened. And because Rachel couldn't conceive, because of course, you put 2 women together and they got a man. The difference between Leah and Rachel is they were willing to compete for a man, which women now are not willing to do. They're not willing to do that. That's the statement that you see with people saying, why does it matter how Derek Jackson's wife looked when she already got him? Because the mind of modern women is you don't have to compete for a man at all. He should be competing for you. And the only reason why most women feel that way is you're dealing with lower echelon individuals. And when I say lower echelon, that doesn't mean that they're trash or horrible human beings. They're just not at the top of the pecking order. So when you're at the top of the pecking order, you don't really have to compete for those men. Nobody wants them. You know what I'm saying? The higher you go up the rung, the more people this man going to have opportunity to deal with. And you can siphon it off into micro situations, because you can see that with people and Rohan could probably speak to it. people who are in communities of Hebrews and congregational settings, because when you look at men who are considered to be a higher value, say word-wise, and whatever congregations or communities that niggas in, that's not always determined by money. But the one who are at the top of the food chain, they have more women vying for their attention than somebody who just joined the assembly last week. You know what I'm saying? This is just the nature of human beings. We don't like to deal with it because it's honesty. It's just like this here. My brother said this last night, and you have to look at it. That 99.9% of the time, whoever you with, that's the best that you could do. And you look at that as a negative, because maybe the best that you could do is the best thing for you. See, and I'm saying this for a reason, because we didn't look at Yahuah was the best thing that we could do. Because you were looking at all these other people, so you had the mind that there was more out there. You see what I'm saying, man? I mean, yeah. I mean, looks play a role. We can deny it all we want, but everybody likes nice-looking people. You know what I'm saying? It's not too many people out here who want a facially challenged individual, male or female. Not too many people want that. People want somebody to say, you know what? But at the same token, women say that there, but women can get with a man who's maybe not would be considered nice on the eyes. But as it's known, the women are supposed to look nicer. You don't know about no woman want no pretty behind man. You know what I'm saying? Prince is the exception to that. Morris Day is the exception to that. Those were pretty men. You know what I'm saying? But they were smooth men. Now, Prince was a little bit on the androgynous side, but that's another conversation for another day. Let's come on over here to John chapter 11. But I'm using these instances between the interaction between man and woman to see that we treat our God this way. We don't like to admit it. We don't like to look at it, but we treat him this way. And more than anything, we need to stop. Let's come over here to 11 and 47. But like you said, though, say for us it's different because pretty much everybody is married. But where Rohan come from, some other brothers can too attest to it. When you have a large swath of people and a lot of them are not married, especially a lot of women who are not married, they are going to gravitate to the men who they feel like are of the upper rung of the available men at that particular location. That's where they're going to go. Well, at least the ones who feel like that they can get those men, at least they're going to go compete and vie for his attention. You know what I'm saying? See, when you deal with a woman who's beautiful and she knows I ain't talking about when y'all women sit together and y'all tell each other y'all pretty and beautiful. See, that don't mean nothing. I'm talking about a woman who absolutely knows that she is beautiful, and she known that she is beautiful since she was knee-high to a grasshopper because everyone has told her, and she knows that she's beautiful no matter where she goes in the earth. See, we're not talking about somebody telling you you're cute or telling you you're pretty. We're talking about people where you know. Because women who are that beautiful, they have a different type of attitude, and they're not going to compete for a man because they're going to feel like that man has to compete for them. And that is Yasharal in this day and time. You feel like you are that 10, that timepiece, that beautiful woman, and that Yahuah ought to compete for you to serve him. The nerve and audacity. But the reason why I say that is most of y'all don't know this because you don't deal with a lot of brews. But for those of you who deal with a lot of brews and see their machinations and consternations that they can give, this is how we behave. You feel like you are that beautiful girl in high school and that everybody should bend over backwards and every man should come chase you down. You feel like Yahuah should come chase you down. Even though you claim you his woman and you just that there and the third, you really feel like it's a blessing for him to be with you. You don't feel like it's a blessing for you to be with him. And that's the crazy part because he do everything for you. You don't do anything for him. You know what I'm saying? You look at being a helpmeet as equivalent to him being the leader. to him being the provider and the protector, for him being the nurturer, the teacher, the giver of wisdom and understanding, you feel like what you do is equal. It is not. It is not equal. It's not equal in the least bit. So considering everything that he's giving, is it too much to ask for you to give him submission and reverence? Is it? I don't think it is. John 11:47. Then gathered the chief priests and Pharisees of council and said, what do we? For this man do many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. See, I'm mentioning that because that is the entitled, beautiful woman. You're proud. See, you looking at the Romans because the Romans are giving you the attention. You understand? They're giving you the validation that you desire to make you feel like you're great. And you feel like this man over here is this woman coming over here is going to take that. You don't want to compete with this woman. So you rather kill her. See, some of y'all know in school, that's when the girls, the really nasty women, they would go spread rumors about girls who they felt like were competition for the little boys that they liked. I hope none of y'all have ever experienced that. Have you ever experienced that? Meaning that you have seen or heard of that. You know what I'm saying? This woman is attractive and these little boys is giving her attention, and these women over here, they don't want to compete with her and step their game up, so they have to besmirch her name. Oh, she sucked penis in the bathroom. Oh, she has stains in her drawers. You know what I'm saying? All the type of stuff that vindictive, nasty people do. And that's what they were doing with Yahushua. Let us slander his name. Because if not, the Romans going to take away our place in the nation. We're beautiful. We feel entitled to this position. Dangerous, dangerous place to be, to say the least. Dangerous. Let's continue. And one of them named Capheus, being the high priest, that same year said unto them, you know nothing at all, or consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. This spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation, and that not for that nation only, but that he should gather together in one. And what? And one. Not in two, not in four, not in six, but in one. Because it wasn't number one man made, and he didn't take but one woman from it. Again, we're talking about the spirit and not the letter. Because the letter, I can't sit back and then, I've always told you that for years. I can't go for that because the gospel doesn't support it. But let me be more specific with you. With the letter of the law, well, you can get you 15 wives if you want to. So can. But the spirit of the law, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And what we were talking about it earlier. I mentioned to somebody earlier why this is important. It's the same token what you know. Because what I was telling was the same thing we was talking about, that you could see the same thing in the text where like I said, I thought that it was known that men of greater means had more than one, had multiple women. I thought people in America were grown enough to know that if you're dealing with a multi-millionaire type dude, he got plenty. You know what I'm saying? He just ain't got no one woman. And then when you look in the text, and the people who had more than one wife, they were always men of means. They weren't regular dudes. It's no different then than it. Remember, there's nothing new under the sun. Is that saying if you become a man of means, get you as many women as you want? Absolutely not. Not if you say you believe in Mashiach. Now, if you don't believe in Mashiach, yeah, man, you do what you want. You do what you want. See, that's the conundrum for most brews. So I'm really trying to lay this on the table because we haven't really focused and talked about that letter of the law and intent of the law, like isolated intently. And it probably means that it's time for us to do so. You know what I'm saying? Because it's on my mind, because it came into my mind earlier this afternoon. So that means that it's time for us to do that. That's what that's telling me. But what I'm telling you is you have the Ruach and you have the letter of the law. And those are two different things. Those are two different things. Because you can have somebody who keep the word by the spirit and don't camp out on tabernacles and is fulfilling the will of Yahuah. You're gonna have somebody outside sleeping in the tent and they're gonna be damning themselves. Because they didn't keep that letter, that law, because they thought they were doing something like he told you to do it, because you did not do it like he told you to do it. Because if you were going to make a booth, you're going to have to make a booth just like how he said make it. You're going to have to get you some goodly boughs. You're going to have to get you some foliage and put it on the top. You're going to have to make it like he told you to make it. Then when you pay attention to the text, them boys didn't stop. Them boys didn't make booths after they left the wilderness. Once they came in the land, them boys ain't do that no more. And get what? They ain't get condemned near time. You go read the book of Ezra and Nehemiah when they were keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. There was no condemnation for the people not having no booths. You go read the book of Kings when it was Tabernacles and Solomon was doing the dedication of the temple. There was no condemnation of the people making up, not dwelling in no booths. You're not going to find that in there anywhere. Because that was something that they did that was temporary shelter while they were in the wilderness as a means to let them know of the houses that they were going to dwell in that they did not build when they entered into the land. But that's another conversation for another day. All I'm telling you is versus the intent and the spirit, or have, because when you're dealing with the Ruach, because I don't want nobody to think that we're spiritualizing anything, you're talking about understanding. That means you have insight into the will of Elohim. When you have insight into the will of Elohim, then you know what it is that Elohim desires. The man don't care nothing about you making no move. That man don't care nothing about you eating no bitter herbs. You'll have dudes go stone butthole crazy while individuals get leaven out their house, but you wicked as the day is long. Because getting the leaven out of your house was it telling you to get the sin out of your body. You'll have dudes that have a house with no leaven in it and a heart full of sin. Which one is worse? A nigga who didn't throw his bread out but had no leaven in his heart, or the nigga who threw all the bread out but he got a heart of stone? Because you'll have that one person who keep the letter of the law versus the person who is circumcised inwardly. And that doesn't mean that we telling niggas don't throw out your leaven. That's not what I'm telling you. Oh, when I say that, people will tell you when you make certain instances of dealing with amen, Rohan, definitely adding to the word. And you'll say people say you're trying to spiritualize something out of so you don't have to do what the law says. That's what people say. See, you spiritualizing. When you deal with testimony of Mashiach, people will tell you spiritualizing stuff, brother. You know what I'm saying? That's wicked nigga talk. That's a nigga who I can't process and understand the information that you're giving me because it is not compatible with the level of information that I have. So instead of having a civilized dialogue so that whether I agree or disagree with your assessment, I will just react in an emotional fashion and insult you by saying that you're spiritualizing it. That is the opposite of it indeed. You're spiritualizing, brother. You know what I'm saying? That's an insult. That's meant as an insult. You know what I'm saying? And that's just knowing people and knowing when someone is insulting you. Because see, we were talking about something earlier. I was appalled. I ain't gonna call no name. I was appalled. Because what it was is we were talking about cursing. Or not, let me not say cursing. Using profanity. I've told y'all in the past when it comes down to that, we're not supposed to teach anything that does not become sound doctrine. Sound in the Greek and that epistle to Timothy means healthy. I told you before, I don't care if you use for profanity. That's your business. But this is what I'll tell you. If you won't teach it to your son, then why are you doing it? Because what did we read what Mashiach said? The Father teaches the Son and show him all things that he do. So if it's not something that you will want your son to do, then you should not be a hypocrite and do it yourself. See, that's a different type of standard because we're supposed to be, again, that's dealing with the ruach of the law or the intent of Elohim because the Father wants his son to emulate him. So you want your sons to emulate you. So if it's something that you'll tell your son not to do what you do, that means in reality, you're not a father. You're not a leader. You're a hypocrite. Now, see, I was told that an individual that they were taught. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you. When I was told this here, I said, boy, I would have got up and swung on this nigga. Because for me, this is insulting my intelligence. Nigga saying, you can't cuss, but I can cuss. Because of Matthew 23:1. See, I said it, Moses' seat. But the thing is when he told those people that, what did he say? He said, they sit in Moses' seat. He said, everything they tell you to do, do. But don't do after they work, for they say and do not. You looked me in my face and told me you a fraud. That's what you just told me when you said that. Oh, you owe me a fade, cuz, because you insulted my intelligence to think that I would not catch that. See, it's one thing that I want every last one of you young men to be able to do, and that is to be a man. And when I say be a man, I'm talking about the ability to critically think and analyze what someone is saying to you. Not being enamored with a title, not being enamored with a position, giving the proper respect to the position that the position is supposed to have. That's what men do. I don't care where we go. All of us could go to somebody's congregation on the West Coast of in California and Texas or whatever the case may be, and we're going to get that man his proper respect for the position that he holds. I don't care if we agree with his doctrine or not. That does not give you license to go in that man's spot and disrespect him. See, niggas feel like if I don't agree with your doctrine, I can disrespect you. You are not a man of honor if you do something of that nature. You're a dishonorable man. It doesn't matter if you agree with it. If he's in the position of pastor, a pop, whatever the case may be, you give that man the proper respect for the position that he holds. That doesn't give you a license to disrespect a man because you don't agree with him. That's feminine stuff. Because when you seen Jeremiah not agree with what Hananiah was false prophesying, he did not do that. He said, amen, let Yahuah bring it to pass, and went by the business. There's too many times I done told you that. Doesn't give you license to do that. You're supposed to be a man, but you're supposed to be able to critically analyze to know if a man is worthy of your respect as a man. See, positions have respect. If you give reverence to the position, I don't have to respect you as a man. I mean, I don't have to deal with you. And I'm not going to deal with you. Because all of you are men. I told you before, we heard a brother say this last night, and I'm going to tell you this again. All of y'all are men. I can't tell y'all men what to do. And I felt like this before I was in the word, because I don't have to live with the outcome of the decision that you make. I can give you a recommended course of action based on my personal perspective of how I see the information that you've given. But some of y'all can attest that if you ask me about something, we're going to sit down and weigh the pros and cons of what you brought out, and that is what you're going to make your decision off of, because you got to live with that. I don't have to live with it. I remember telling the dude that when I was in prison, locked up, before I went to prison. Dude say, man, should I go to trial? I can't tell you if you can go to trial or not, but you're not going to lose and blame that on me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't have to live with the outcome of you going to trial. If some people give you 50 years, I don't have to do them 50 years. You got to do them. So I told him point blank, if you're willing to go do 50 years, man, then you go ahead and go to trial, bro, because going to trial is a risk. You may lose. And if you lose, can you do them 50 years? He said, well, you going, that's me, though. I can't tell you what to do. I don't have to live with that. I don't have to live with that decision. That's why it's not good for men to make edicts and demands on what another man should do when you don't have to live with the outcome of that decision. All you can do is sit down with a man and weigh out the pros and cons and set that at that man's feet and let him make the best decision, and he's going to have to deal with the outcome. That's why am I telling you that? Because that's all you can do with the gospel. You can't do nothing but lay it at a man's feet and let him deal with the outcome based off the decision that he makes. You can't make anybody do anything. You can't force anybody to do anything. Yahushua didn't tell nobody to do nothing. They said, how can we get eternal life? He said, well, shoot, what did the book say? He said, oh, do this and do that. Well, shoot, that's what you do then. You have to always remember that. All I'm doing is giving you information. You have to make the decision, and you got to live with the choice. And as you already know, as the law say, choose life. Ain't that what Moses sat back and told them people? I said, before you life and death, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life. I can't tell you what to do. I put the choice in front of you. Choose, make one. If I was you, I'd choose life. But I can't make that choice for you. That's how men have to operate. That's how your Elohim operate. You don't tell a man what to do unless it's a situation where you got to tell a man what to do. When I say tell a man what to do, I'm talking about telling him what to do with his life. You can give a recommendation. Niggas don't gotta listen. If niggas don't listen to God, you know they ain't gonna listen to you. Let's go back to Psalm 22. I'm in verse 2. Now, is there any cold water in it? That's sufficient. Psalms 22:2. Oh, my Elohim, I cry in the daytime, but you hear not. In the night seasons, I'm not silent. But you are Kadash, oh, you that inhabited the praises of Yasharal, inhabitist. Let's look at inhabitist to praise, because I want y'all to keep that always in the forefront of your mind. That is Yeshua, that is the dweller word you already know. And then, of course, you should know the other word, which is Tehillah, and that is the praise of adoration. He dwells in adoration. That's what he just says. He dwells in being adored. That doggone son got air. And you would think I wouldn't have drunk. I hadn't drunk water all day, but I had, because it was hot as 4 fat holes in a 4 tempo today, boy. I promise you. I promise you. It was hot out that hole, boy. It was every bit of them 90, boy. He was out there somewhere. No shade. Straight beam. Verse 4, excuse me. Our fathers trusted in you. They trusted, and you delivered them. They cried unto you and were delivered. They trusted in you and were not confounded. See, now this should take you right back to when. Now I want you to look at confounded, and that is boosh. Of course, you know that is not to be put to shame or disappointed. See, now this is something, right, when you look at it as a man, just as a man, and we saying that we want to fulfill the role of Mashiach, because we read that in Ephesians 5. That's a man's duty. You don't want to disappoint your wife and the people in your household, because you owe a responsibility to them. Now, see, some men, they don't view it this way. The reason why I say that, I put it to you like this here, right? You're a man. You own your come up. That woman been there with you. And if she's played her role in position, it's only right that she reaps the benefits of what you have been able to accumulate from the work that you put in, because she was there the whole time. That's why most men who have a desire to climb to a particular point, they want to get their woman early. They want to grab her, snatch up early, because they don't want to deal with the women when they got it, because they know the women ain't fooling with you. They fooling with you because you got it. So when we look at this and we looking at Yahuah, he had chosen his wife early. And he put in a particular type of work because he felt like, he knew that he owed responsibility to this woman, not because of the woman, but because of the promise that he made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the labor that he put in knowing that I owe a responsibility to this woman, though she did not keep her end of the bargain, give her the benefit of the work that I have put in, i.e., forgiveness of sins and everlasting life. See, I always want us to sit back and pause and think, because you want to look at in the natural sense of what that man is doing, and then look at what your man has done and give him the honor and reverence that is due, because he dwells in your adoration. He should be dwelling in your praise. There should be constant speaking of and honoring of his name in public. There should be constant respect given unto him, constant acceptance of his will, continual investment into his righteousness, and an ecstatic joy and praise that emanates from you because you hold him in high esteem. Because most women are not taught to hold a man in high esteem. Most young men never see it. So you don't never even know what that's like to even desire or require it. So then when you come over and it's time to serve Yahuah, you're not able to give him that outside of the praise that you're accustomed with, which is the singing. And not that there's anything wrong with the singing, but as we read, the praise is not with understanding. So you're not praising him because of the admiration, adoration, and reverence that you have for him. You're praising him for an emotional hit-off. Because the adoration and admiration and reverence does not remain with you after the singing is completed. When you hold him in esteem, the reverence goes with you everywhere you go. The reverence comes out when you speak of him. See, if you want to know how a woman views her man, just pay attention to how she speaks of him. See, if you have something negative to say about your husband to friends, family, or strangers, you don't really reverence him, because you would never allow anyone at any time to ever hear you speak negatively of this man. You would not let that happen, because you would never want to dim how he is viewed by anyone. That's how much respect you have for him. So you have to look at that. See, women, you're emotional, upset. You go to bed and talking trash and saying all this type of stuff, and then you may not even feel this is how you felt at the moment, but now his image is tarnished. See, that goes back to what we just read in Romans. This name is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, because you have spoken negatively of this man, because you do not esteem him in your conduct. Therefore, other people, they don't respect him because you don't. Thank you. And you have to understand, you're not going to be ashamed. Ain't that what he told you in Isaiah 28? A chief cornerstone, all that believe on him shall not be ashamed. Ask yourself this question. What man of Elohim do you see in the book of Yahuah who have been put to shame? Mashiach was put to shame, but that was for fame. That was for your salvation. And he still wasn't put to shame because his flesh rested in hope. And he didn't suffer his Kadash one to see corruption. Let the Lord be esteemed. See, they don't like that. Verse 6, but I am a worm and no man, a reproach of men and despised of the people. All they that see me laugh me to scorn. They shoot out the lip, they shake the head, saying, he trusted on Yahuah that he would deliver him. Let him deliver him, seeing he delighted in him. Ain't that some wicked junk for them niggas to say out their mouth? Because he said that this man is up here, because they're acknowledging that Yahushua took delight in Elohim. See, and I want you to come read what these wicked people fulfilled that. Because I just want you to see their words. It's going to say the same thing, but I want you to see the context of their speech. Verse 39 of the 27th chapter of Matthew. And what I'm looking at, what I want you to understand is they're mocking him because he took pleasure in Elohim. This is what I want you to understand. They're mocking him because he took pleasure in Elohim. He took pleasure in fulfilling the will of his master. That is the humility. This is where the honor, riches, and life come from. This is the anava. This is the submission. This is the meekness, the ability to yield to a superior will. The lamb was slain from the foundation of the world. I called for Matthew 16 earlier. We ain't get it. But in Matthew 16, of course, you know, he told his apostles, his disciples, of how he should be taken by the Pharisees. How should he be afflicted and killed and rise the third day? That man was with it. Y'all know when Peter said, not you, Lord, what he told him. Get behind me, Satan. You're an offense unto me. For you savor the things that be a man and not an Elohim. Because what was he telling them? You're not willing to submit to a will greater than yours. See, that's the thing. That's why he had to tell him that. Because the things that be a man, man seeks to fulfill his own will. Man doesn't seek to fulfill the will of Elohim. Again, the Ruach is willing, flesh is weak. What is that taking us back to? The entitled, beautiful woman and the woman who's delighted to serve her husband. Because that 10, she don't care about nothing. She want what she want. She want what she want. See, that's the thing that dudes won't tell you about beautiful women. Some will. They tell you that's a bill. Now, some of y'all know who Bill Murray is, that old fake Jewish dude who's an atheist and a wicked bastard if there ever was one. But he made a statement many, many years ago, and he said, show me a beautiful woman, and I'll show you a man tired of having sex with her. Because it don't even be the sex, it be her. See, this is stuff that y'all don't understand. You see all these celebrities, and that's the saddest part, is that our people be so invested in these people be trash. You know what I'm talking about? And you see how beautiful they are, and you're wondering why no one will stay with them. Those women are trash, and they're trash because of their beauty and the level of attention that they receive. And if you notice that all those beautiful women from your youth, now that they done hit that wall, that brick wall, that junk over with. Ain't nobody checking for them like that. Ain't nobody studying Janet Jackson no more. This is a 50-year-old woman. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody studying her no more. Ain't nobody studying Halle Berry no more. Ain't nobody studying Mary J. Blige no more. The men who could have loved them, they missed out on them long, long time ago. Everybody loved Rihanna, but that big forehead hoe, she about to hit that wall. She about to hit that wall, and she ain't got no husband. She ain't got no husband. See that when you look at some of the other beautiful women in that business, a lot of them went and got them husbands long time ago, and they locked right on in, and they ain't going nowhere. Because a lot of beautiful women, they overplay their hand. Don't you be that beautiful woman of the house of Yasharal and overplay your hand, and your husband looking at you talking about because you that foolish virgin who didn't buy no oil because you felt like you ain't have to because you were pretty. And that somebody else should have gave you of their oil, and just like they told her, you ought to go to those who sell. But you thought you was pretty, you ain't have to do none of those things. See, that's the foolishness of beauty. That's why the text tell you that beauty is vain. That's the foolishness of beauty. That's why I tell y'all, it's good to make sure that your daughters have a good self-image of themselves, but you should not be walking around telling them how pretty and beautiful they are all the time. You have to know how to measure and give them the right amount of validation, because too much validation, you will create a monster. Now that takes skill to know when to give. Matter of fact, it's probably more important to give them affection, direction, structure, discipline, and order than it is to tell them how pretty they are. Because they would know how beautiful they are just based off of you doing that. Nevertheless, Matthew 27:39. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, saying, you that destroy the temple and build it in 3 days. What is that? Oh, that didn't sound like he had to pee. Saying that you should destroy the temple. Hey, Naya, how you doing, baby? And saying you that destroy the temple and build it in 3 days. What you laughing at? Sloan, man, what you over there laughing at now? What is you laughing at? Huh? Oh, what she laughing at me for? I ain't said or did nothing. And saying that you should destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, say it yourself. If you be the son of Elohim, come down from the state. Likewise, also the chief priest mocking him with the scribes. An elder said, he saved others, and himself he cannot save. If he be the king of Yasharal, let him come down from the stake, and we will believe him. He trusted in Elohim, let him deliver him now, if he will have him. For he said, I'm the son of, you the son of Elohim, you took pleasure in your God. Where he at? Wicked bastard. Now, remember now, these are people who's supposed to know the word. These are people who teach the word. They mocking a man because he trusts in Yahuah. I'm telling you this because if you take, let's put it to you this way, let's just pause and look at it in the natural sense. When you're dealing in this day and time of this quote unquote year of 2021, women who reverence and delight in pleasing and serving their husband are mocked by other women in the same fashion. Oh, she's a pushover. She weak. I just heard a woman say to be a housewife is akin to being a slave. But the thing is, you want the benefits that man whom she delights to please has to give, not from that man, but from another man. I just listened to a woman where this man had to sit back and tell her this about black women in this society want to be celebrated. And he was like, what are we celebrating you for? Oh, all the women say, yeah, it's rough for them. It is. It's rough for them. Because it's over with. They didn't hit that wall. Because he is old. Good and old. Niggas look at Janet Jackson and think she all that there. She did a fake marriage scam just to get billions of dollars. You know, there's very few women who are indiscriminately wealthy that didn't get it from divorce. Oprah might not be the only one. The rest of them got their wealth from a man. See, these old level up, bald-headed scallywag hoes, see, they're not going to tell y'all that. There are very few women who became wealthy off their own labor. Oprah about the only one. Because when you look at the rest of them women, they got that done because their husband died and he left them that bread or they divorced their husband. Yeah, it ain't many. You know what I'm saying? It ain't many. You only got a handful. As a matter of fact, you look at this here, right? Like the owner of the Detroit Lions. So they say when she used to ask, they said, why you can't make your own decisions? And you know what that really is, though? That junk really is just a lack of respect for masculine influence and leadership. That's all. We smarter than you. Know what I want to mention? Oh, yeah. You look at the Detroit Lions owner. It's a woman. How is she the owner of the Lions? Her husband died. Yeah, Jeannie. Now, see, now that was with Jeannie Buss. He left that to all his kids, and there was an eternal struggle. And she ended up coming out on top. Yeah, it did. It came from Dr. Jerry Buss. She definitely didn't create it. The rest of her brothers were idiots, and she was just a tad bit more ruthless than they were. Tad bit more ruthless. The lady who John Kerry is married to, he's married to the lady from the Heinz Empire. She got her wealth because her husband died and left it to her. Jeff Bezos' wife is the richest woman in the world from divorce, not from her own labor. See, I'm mentioning this is because if a woman wants to have some type of increase in wealth and finances, she would need to go get a husband. Because the likelihood of you producing that on your own is negligible. And why do I say that? Because if you want riches, wealth, and honor, guess what you're going to have to go do? You're going to have to go get you a husband. And that's going to be Yahuah. You're going to have to go get your husband. You're going to have to go get your husband. You ain't going to be rich on your own, baby. He told you that in the book of Yahuah, Son of Noon, baby. You're not going to be rich on your own. You're going to have to go get your husband. It's always better for a woman to get a husband than to be without. Don't let these people lie to you. But you got to get you a good husband. You got to know who you're signing up for. Yeah, straight up and down. If Jay-Z was to die today, Beyonce would more than likely be the richest woman on the planet, as far as entertainers are concerned. You know what I'm talking about? Because Beyonce would never make that kind of money on her own. Yeah, I mean, but guess what, Sean? I would guarantee you all those women who don't understand that don't have a man. Everyone, the same thing with you, Sade. Every one of them women who said, why you can't make your own, they ain't got no man. They don't got a man. That's the same token, and I'm glad y'all mentioned that. But that's the same token when people are like, why you always pray about stuff? Because I gotta go talk to my husband, nigga. That's why. What's wrong with you? Don't be you one of these hoes be like, I ain't gotta ask no man about it. I do what I want to do. Don't be that woman. Make supplication to your husband and ask him before you do stuff. That's why most of y'all make bad decisions, don't have good success. You don't ask your husband, you don't ask your daddy before you do stuff. Because I'm telling you right now, if you got your parents and your parents in your life and you not married, male or female, and you don't ask your people, you a jackass. You a jackass. You got a man, you need to go holler at your man. And I told you this before. You don't have to do anything if you're not married. but it speaks to the character of individuals. If they do things that naturally, even though they're not married, that means that this person is set for that. Well, shoot, one of them in a relationship, I already know they ain't married. Because that mean ain't got no man. Because a woman who ain't got no man always gonna have a problem with a woman who clear with a man. All that be a low-key jealousy that they ain't got no man. I wish I had a man. I want somebody to ask stuff too. I ain't got nobody to talk to. I think gotta talk to these walls. Let me call Geraldine. Geraldine don't want to talk to you. Cause you got that one chick, she be like, "Say, girl, we gonna hang out tonight." Oh no, my man in town. Oh, you always going around. Shoot, I'm gonna see my man. I don't know what you talking about. What you gonna do for him? I'm gonna do whatever he want. All right, girl. Now she go back home with her wine and her favorite little toy, and there's life. Psalms 22:9. He said, "But you are he that took me out of the womb, that did make me hope when I was upon my mother's breast." Go to Galatians chapter 4. It's forth is him that took me from the womb and caused me to hope upon my mother's breast. That is Batak. And of course, you know that is to trust in or to have confidence. And all of you should have Batak because you should have confidence in your husband. That is what leads to the submission and the humility. I've told you that for years, honestly. You can't serve someone who you don't have confidence in. You're not going to yield to the will of someone whom you don't have confidence in. See, that's something that most men don't realize, and nobody tells you that a woman's ability to serve you is exclusively congruent to the level of respect and confidence that she has in you. The lesser the confidence, the lesser the respect. The lower the trust, the lower the respect. Now, sometimes the disrespect, and you also have to look at this too when people do things because they have no better option. See, some people have made horrible, horrible decisions in their lives, and therefore they have no better option. Then you have some people who don't want to do things with their lives, so of course they're going to do things with people who are lesser because that's the best option for them. You know what I'm saying? And you have to pay attention to that. The last thing you want, see, when you're looking at a man, you don't want a man who automatically wants to start doing something because he gets a child or a woman. He should already be doing that before a child and a woman comes into play. Now, don't get me wrong. A child coming can definitely be kicking in a man's behind to do what he got to do. But he should already have that desire before he even put his penis in you. See, that's how you cut all that stuff out. If this nigga's a bum before he whips his meat out, then you make sure that he never whips his meat out. You tell him if you pull your penis, you need to put that up. Because I don't know what you took that out for. You got to pee? Because I don't know what you expect me to do with that. See, if you see a certain attributes in that woman that are not acceptable, baby, what you took your panties off for? Put your drawers back on. See, we don't do that because you're not paying attention to none of that. And then you have sex with these people. That's why I tell you, you should not be sending I told you this in the past, you should not be sending your children out here to do anything. You should be doing just like the father did with his son, and you should be mapping their life out. You should not leave that up to, especially not no little girl. You should not leave anything up to their decision making. Because if you leave it up to them, they're going to ruin their life. Because they're going to go by what they feel and not what is the best decision for them. Not because women are stupid or anything, that they're emotional creatures. So if something happens to make her feel a particular type of way, she's going to do that. Consequences be damned. You have the power to stop. You wonder why all these girls out here got turned and no man. You wonder why. That's why you need your God. Because you can't be out here. Guess what? You can't make no decision by you. Look what you've been doing. You ain't been doing right. That go for all of us. Ain't none of us excluded. Myself included. We ain't been doing right. We stupid. Yes. Are you stupid?
No.
Are you sure? Jacksonville said they didn't allow the mask mandate to expire. Shoot, that junk expired for me good long time ago, because I definitely don't wear them hoes. Got time to be around here. Where's my mask? I ain't got time for that crap. People be giving you dirty looks. You ain't got no mask on. Yeah. You worrying about I ain't got no mask on. I bet your drawers ain't clean, nigga.
I ain't got no problem.
Well, you a woman. And you're a soft looking woman. I'm a man. They look at this nigga thinking he ain't got no mask on. Your man ain't got no mask on. Galatians 4:1. That's the crazy part. We done have told that joke before. Niggas walk around here with a mask, have raw sex with strangers. Nigga around here mad with you because you ain't got a mask. Nigga have raw sex with strangers. You know what I'm saying? Nigga around here complaining about mad niggas ain't washed their drawers, their balls, nothing. I just made me think about that skit I was looking at the other day. These niggas got ball deodorant. That is the illest thing that I ever seen, that they have testicle deodorant. Why? And niggas buying it. I ain't mad at them. Galatians 4:1. Oh, more than likely because you have the baby. So they don't want to get in the baby phase because they don't expect the baby to have no mask on. But see, you're a lady again, and you're not a ugly woman. So people ain't gonna look at you crazy. You know what I'm saying? But men, people get offended. Remember, I would think I was in public, some old bulldagger white woman, could you back up, please? Oh, I ain't worried about you. I'm trying to get all this junk out my hand, man. Nigga, I'm about to draw this junk all over the floor. You know what I'm talking about? You weren't looking at me crazy because I ain't got no mask on, and you in the grocery store dressed up like a man, and you on your cycle. Galatians 4:1. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child, differ nothing from a servant, but be Lord of all. As under tutors and governors until the time appointed of the Abba, even so when we were children, we were in bondage under the elements of the world. But when the fullness of the time was come, Elohim sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. And if you're not familiar, under the law here meaning death. Death. Not the 613, death. Death. He was made and for those of you who are aware, because you've been around, you can go read it in Psalm 51, that he said that I was made and shapen in my mother's womb, conceived in iniquity. Let's go on and look at it. Shoot, screw it. Psalm 51. So you can see this is the law, what law he's referring to. Y'all bear with me. We just taking a slow route on a short trip, because I could speed through it, but what fun would that be? Psalm 51 to do. Y'all never forget that. I'm talking about shit. That old bull dang white hole. I said, white hole crazy. You know what I'm saying? People look at, oh yeah, then I told you about the chicken chocolate smoothie one time. Could you put it over your nose? Man, white hole, just make my smoothie. Time for this crap. Nigga looking at you crazy. Like, nigga, what do you think I walk around with masks, nigga? For what? You niggas around here going crazy about a flu that got a 99% survival rate. But that shows you the low level of intelligence that people have. And when I say low level of intelligence, I'm really more so referring to emotional intelligence, the ability for your emotions to be moved, swayed, and manipulated and push you in the way that they want to push you. And if you've ever watched any type of movies or television show, the greatest emotion for manipulation is fear. Greatest emotion. If you want to manipulate a group of people, the greatest manipulation that you can use is fear. Fear is a great motivator. I'm not talking about reference like Yahuah, the fear that Yahuah has at all of his awesomeness. See, you should be in awe every time you step out of the door. See, when you see the sun and the moon and the stars and the clouds and the animals and everything and this habitat that we call Earth interact with one another, you should be in awe. See, that's fear right there. It's awe-inspiring, if you would. See what I'm saying? It's awe-inspiring. Sometimes you don't pay it no attention, you take it for granted. And sometimes when you in the car or you walking, it just stick out of your mind. This man here the real deal. You just be like in awe. You know what I'm saying? And then hopefully when that happens, you begin to say, you know what? Have I been respecting my husband? Did I talk to my husband today? Did I give him a call? Let me go ahead and give him a call. That's a prayer call if you. Let me go and give him a call. You know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and give him a call. You know what I'm saying? That's how that stuff works. That's the beauty of the whole play. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? We ain't got to make this thing complicated. It's simple. Very, very simple. Psalm 51 and 2. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. For I've acknowledged my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against you only have I sinned and done this evil in your sight, that you might be justified when you speak and clear when you judge. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Now, we didn't talk about this before. Shapen is cool, and that is to travail or to writhe or to be brought forth to be distressed. So he was saying he was brought forth in iniquity. That is a bond. That is iniquity. More importantly, guilt, consequence, or punishment of iniquity. So he's telling you that I was brought forth into a punishment. Let's look at what that punishment is, and that's for clarity for those who are not as versed as others. Oh, no, I got you, my G. I already know what you was referring to. But if you felt you needed to clear that up for other people, I understand. Romans 5 and 12. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, man, you know. And I would think about this earlier today, too. It might have been yesterday. Who knows? You know, my thoughts run together as the days go by. How they were mocking Derek Jackson's wife. And some of that stuff, she deserved to be mocked. You know what I'm saying? Just for how she presented herself, because the internet is relentless and ruthless. And I ain't going to say deserve, because nobody deserves anything. But so let me rephrase that. She set herself up to be mocked. Do you know what I'm saying? And only for her clothing choices, not for her words. But her words were Christian rhetoric. Now, a lot of people will mock her for being a Christian. The thing is if she believes what she's saying out of her mouth, whether it's correct doctrine or not, hey, she believes it. But the thing what it showed was the utter contempt of somebody saying, I trust in this. This is what my life is about. See, I seen somebody with kind of woman that didn't say, I see why he cheated. She around here dressed like a nigga from Harlem Nights, dressed like one of the Temptations. I said, what are you niggas hard? You got other women saying, how could she forgive this, that, there, and the third? But again, this is what we were talking about earlier. See, that woman was invested. See, she got 14 years in with that man. You think she finna let somebody else get a piece of that investment? And she a 30-plus-year-old woman with 2 kids? Absolutely not. See, most women who don't got no man, they don't understand that. See, most of you women on here, you've been with your man a long time. I know full well if you got some sense, you ain't finna do nothing to where another woman could come in and move in on your investment. And what is your investment? Y'all done gave these young men your womb in your prime years. What's wrong with it? Oh, so you want to walk around here looking like a vagabond. That's what y'all don't realize. Y'all done gave these men your womb in your prime year. Most of y'all have been with these men since you was 18, 19, 20 years old. That's prime real estate for you. You should be locked in and invested in everything he got going on. You shouldn't have set up a situation where another woman can move in on your investment. That don't mean you be around here acting like a fool because you prone to it. Because you'd have to look at that man that invested in you. He taking care of you. See, when you invest in something, you should have some care and concern for it. You know, if you invest in annuities, if you don't know what that is, look it up. You know what I'm talking about? If you invest in REITs and certain stocks and things of that nature, you want those stocks to mature so you can get a return on your investment. You know what I'm saying? So if you're investing in a man with your prime years, your womb, because that's the only thing you really got to give it. You can't give it really much else, anything else but your youth and your womb. So he can bring forth seed, so he can have a legacy. So you should definitely conduct yourself in a fashion of where you don't want nobody to come in and move in on your investment. See, if you sit back and say, he married me, God, I've had 8 kids, I ain't got to do nothing. What's the word I'm looking for? You trash. You know what I'm saying? You trash. That's a wrong attitude to have, baby. That's a wrong attitude to have. That's what got Yahuah in trouble. Oh, we in a covenant with him. We good. We ain't got to do nothing. Look at you now. You screaming for the police not to shoot you. You talking about these people won't give you no job. I told Nell that earlier. Cause you know what it is? We have allowed ourselves to no longer think like rulers, but to think like proletarians. So you're going to have to ask yourself a question. Are you a ruler or are you a proletarian? Because see, both of those are choices. See, you could choose to be on the lower rung or you could choose to be on the higher rung. See, when I say a proletarian in this instance, you're a worker in a system of iniquity by choice. You choose to come out here and work wickedness. You choose to be a ruler over flesh and over the world to your own destruction, because he that loved the world, the love of the Father is not in it. Or you could choose to be a ruler. And choosing to be a ruler is Mashiach dwelling in you and you dwelling in him, and you would have reign and dominion and always rule with him. See, you're going to have to make a choice. See, when I say that, meaning you're going to have to make an investment. Who are you going to give your time to? Are you going to give your time to be a slave to sin in the world, or are you going to give your time to be a slave to Mashiach and rule with him? See, but in order for you to rule with him, you're going to have to submit to him. See, you don't have to be a proletariat in this system. You don't have to submit to anything because you can do what you want. You want to serve another God? Go ahead. You want to be a man boy? A man girl? Girl man? Go ahead. You can do all of that. Doesn't matter. See, the reason why I mention that, because in Mashiach, there is no lower class. There's no class at all. Doesn't mean anything. You might have classes for as the world may look at you. Maybe a societal status may as the world may look at you, but Yahuah has no respect of persons. So he doesn't care how much money you have. He doesn't care what your titles are. He doesn't care what your position in society is. It means absolutely nothing to him. There's no high class. There's no working class. There's no none of that in him. It's the righteous, the just, and the faithful. That's it. That's it. That's all you got. But let's continue. Let me knock this Romans 5 and 12 out. See, it's a lot of things going on. Like I said, they were mocking that woman, that Christian stuff, and all that type of stuff. All it just exposes the utter hatred that people have for Yahuah. The hatred they have for his word. The ability how swiftly people can mock someone who say they'll stand on that. See, we're going to look at it. That's that Christian talk. Well, whether she was a Christian or not, that woman believed. You can look at her in her eyes and see she believed every word she was saying. Yeah, she believed every word she was saying. Whether her understanding is correct is irrelevant to the point. She believed every word she was saying. Now, of course, she's got the, and I'm talking about looking her in her eyes. You could look in her eyes and tell she was upset. You could look at her eyes and tell, I'd cut this nigga if I could. And not because of the cheating, because stupid nigga, you ain't do it right. You got me out here looking stupid. You ain't supposed to get caught out here like that. But that also go to show you that messing around with these hoes ain't no good. Because what type of woman keeps receipts on a nigga she dealing with? That means her whole objective and purpose was to expose you, to tear you down. That's why sometimes it's better just stick with your old lady, man. Because these hoes don't care nothing about you. You know what I'm saying? These hoes don't care nothing about you. They're going to seek to tear you down, embarrass you, if you're not going to give her what she wants. Guess what? That's what Satan going to do. That's what Satan gonna do. Satan wants you to come over there and have alliances with him. And when the time comes, he want to pull back the curtain so you can be mocked. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't mess with the tempter. You know what funny? Proverbs 7 told to, and Derek Jackson had been reading the word, Proverbs 7 told him what to do. No, that's different because that woman had a husband. See, she was different. She had a husband. Either way it go, we'll tell you, don't get caught up in the beauty. Get caught up with that beauty, then you want to play with that booty. You play with that booty, you're going to hell. Don't do it. Romans 5:12. Wherefore, as by one man's sin entered into the world, and death by sin, so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. For unto the law sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed where there is no law. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over them that had not sinned, after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who was the figure to come. So there it is. When you're talking about being shapen in iniquity, or you're being brought forth into the punishment. See, when you hear the people talking about the Catholic Church, original sin and all that, that stuff that's made up. The sin is that you're brought into the consequence of sin, which is death. That's why it says, and in sin did my mother conceive me, or caught, and that is simply sin or the guilt of sin. Yakam is for conceived, and that is to be conceived, and that is Yod, Kot, and Meen. So guess what? You've been separated by the work of chaos. That's what you were conceived by. You were conceived in sin because you're conceived of flesh, and flesh dies. Simple as that. Back to Psalms 22. Where are we present? Psalms 22 and 11. Be not far from me, for trouble is near, but there is none to help. Many bulls have compassed me, strong bulls of Bashan have beset me round. That's the men rounding with swords and staves. They gaped upon me with their mouths as a ravening and roaring lion. When you look at gape, it's Petzah, and that is men who have opened their mouth or uttered their mouth. Now, that's why I mentioned Derek Jackson's wife. I don't remember her name. It's not important. Just as an example, that people were ready to open their mouth more so about her. I'm going to talk about the word. Now, of course, she went overboard by quoting Ephesians 6 to justify her horrible choice in the title. You know what I'm saying? And as a woman, you should be looking at that. You should always want to look your best for your husband. Now, every man is different. But as a woman, if you say you esteem and honor this man, why wouldn't you keep your wig in order? Not going to get a wig, but the follicles that come out of your scalp. So you mean to tell me that you're comfortable with somebody looking out there and they say, that's such and such wife. She'll never have her hair done. Now you done dishonored your husband. I'm just using that as an example because that's what could be said, and that's going to reflect on him. Again, the name of your Elohim is blasphemed by the Gentile through you. If you out here dressing like a hoe, but have you seen such and such wife? But she's a whore. She would dress like a whore. I see her titties and her booty cheeks. Them yams was out. The reason why I say this is because you go read Proverbs 31. What does it say about that virtuous woman? It says she was known in the gates, and everybody commended this man about the conduct of his wife. See, I'm using that as an example, not just to harp on the women, because it is the metaphor of what we already read in Romans 2. You are representative of your husband. What you do and how you look is how individuals are going to look at your husband. If an individual will walk in the door and see that you're a sluggard, that reflects negatively on your husband. So if somebody walks in and they see that you got idols on the door, but you say you a servant of Yahuah, you're telling lies, but you a servant of Yahuah. You're malicious, you're spiteful, you're ungrateful, you complain. You like to commit adultery, you like to fornicate. You're a whoremonger. You have the evil eye. You blaspheme. All that reflects poorly on your husband. Because people going to view your husband because they looking at you. Because what did we read? In the generations of Adam, male and female created he them. And he named their name Adam. So when they see you, they see your husband. How are you representing your husband when people see you? On the natural level as a woman, why would you not want to look your best for your husband? You hear so many women, I don't do this for no man. That's why you ain't got one, ho. That's why you ain't got one. You got a man and your man wants you to be in shape. Get your fat behind up and go work out. That would make him happy. He make you happy, don't you? You got food in your belly and a roof over your head and clothes on your back, and you didn't have to work for it. So you mean to tell me you can't go to the gym because that would make him happy? You mean to tell me that you would not take the time to learn how to cook new dishes because that would make him happy? You mean to tell me that you wouldn't take the time to make sure that your appearance is up to par because that make him happy, but he make you happy by taking care of you, you ungrateful bastard? You don't appreciate nothing. You know what I'm saying? You have to sit back and look at it. You don't work for anything. See, but that happens. You become ungrateful when you don't actually have to labor for something. You don't appreciate it because somebody else is doing the work. That's why you don't appreciate Mashiach, because he done did the work. You feel like you ain't got to do it. He carried the stake. He hung on the tree. You feel like you ain't got to do no sacrifice. You ain't got to die to your flesh. You ain't got to do none of that because he done did it for you. You feel like I ain't got to do nothing that he delight in. He delights in mercy and judgment and righteousness. I don't got to do that. He delights in faith. I ain't got to trust in him. He delights in you loving one another. I don't like that nigga. I ain't loving that nigga. I don't care nothing about that nigga. That's what he delights. That's what he said. These are the things that he delights in. You ain't got to do nothing. That man told you that you don't have to ask him for what you need because he already know what you need before you ask him for it. All he told you is this, I'm going to do all this here. Just do the things that I delight. I delight in judgment, mercy, and faith. That's what the man said in the book of Jeremiah that he delighted. He said, do that, I'm good. You say, I don't care about what he likes. I don't care what pleases him. That nigga better please me and give me what I want. Ungrateful bastard. Ungrateful bastard. Because you didn't have to work for the salvation. Because it's a free gift. It's free. You ain't work for that. That's why you don't appreciate it. 22 and 14. Psalms. I'm poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted in the midst of my bowels. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue cleaved to my dogs. You have brought me into the dust of death, for dogs have compassed me. The assembly of the wicked have enclosed me. They have pierced my hands and my feet. I may tell all my bones, and they look and stare upon me. They part my garments among them and cast lots upon my vesture. Be not far from me, O Yahuah, O my strength. Haste you to help me. Deliver my soul from the sword, my darling from the power of the dog. Y'all already know what that dog is. You know, you have a lot of brews. They tell you, see, he called her a female dog. I want you to know when you see dog in this text, that is Caleb. If you didn't really know what that means, that's dog, or it literally means a pagan sacrifice or a male cult prostitute, but more specifically, it's figurative for something that has been abased or is held in contempt. But most of the time, it's used to refer to a male prostitute. Ain't that something? That's what they called them boys at Sokof Beno when they like to run their trick, they booty holes off. Maybe that's what doggone George Clinton was talking about when he talking about atomic dog and he the dog catcher. He around here catching the wrong thing. You know, them boys was into the occult. Now you don't never know. You don't never know. He around here talking about dog catcher. What you catching for? They talking about all men are dogs. After that, you should be a pin. I ain't no dog, nigga. I ain't no prostitute. I didn't want you to know that. You see that dog, but more to me is something that is contemptible, something that is abased. These people were also male prostitutes because they were prostituting themselves to the Romans. They were prostituting themselves to other gods, mainly the God of their own heart. 21. Save me from the lion's mouth, for you've heard me from the horn of unicorns. I've declared your name unto my brethren. In the midst of the congregation will I praise you. You that fear Yahuah, praise him. All you seed of Jacob, esteem him and fear him. All you seed of Yasharal. That's the instruction you've been given. Now, fear is a different word here. It's ger. I want you to think on that. It's gamal, and raj. This one means to sojourn, to abide with. Also, but more importantly, in this instance, to stand in awe and to be afraid, to dread, to stand in awe. Let's look at awe, and we'll look at awesome. Awesome, which is the extended version of awe. Will it air? Will it air? Will it air? Let's look at the meaning of awe in its complete entirety. And meaning, the definition of the word awe is a feeling of reverential respect mixed with fear or wonder. An overwhelming feeling of reverence, admiration, and fear produced by that which is grand, sublime, extremely powerful. Y'all see what that is? Do you see that when the text talk about fear, it's never fear in the aspect of what the world wants you to believe that fear is? It's a level of respect and admiration that is referring to. Yeah, you got the dread. See, let's look at the definition of dread. How many of y'all used to watch the movie Judge Dredd? I used to watch that movie just because they played it on regular TV so much, as they plugged Taco Bell in every freaking scene, messing around with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes. We don't care about dreadlocks. Dread is something that you look at with anticipation of great apprehension or fear. You have anxiety. That's what you've seen with Daniel when he's seen the angel. You've seen the fear or the anxiety that he had. See, come over here and let's look at that. We'll look at two examples of that in the text. Let's start with Judges 13 first and foremost. "13 and 1 if you will. You're always looking crazy when you got to get your wig snatched. Would you rather look like a Cabbage Patch dog? Look like somebody don't love you? You can do your own hair, can't you? Maybe you need to learn. You want to learn how to do your own hair? Why is you sitting there like somebody finna rob you? You sitting there, what, you finna go into surgery? You're moaning like you about to go to surgery. You all right? You ain't all right, you're sleepy. And you like, why you gotta do my hair? You gonna do my hair? Girl, cut it out. Send you out the door, let you look like a ragamuffin. Judges 13 and 1. And the sons of Yasharal did evil again in the sight of Yahuah. Yahuah delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. There was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah. His wife was barren and bare not. A Malachim of Yahuah appeared unto the woman and said unto her, Behold, you are barren and bear not, but you shall conceive and bear a son. Now therefore beware, I pray you, and drink not wine nor strong drink, eat not any unclean thing. For lo, you shall conceive and bear a son, no razor shall come upon his head, for this child shall be a Nazarite on Elohim in the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Yasharal out of the hand of the Philistines. The woman came and told her husband, saying, A man of Elohim came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of a Malachim of Elohim, very terrible. And I asked him not whence he was, neither told me he his name. Now let's look at terrible. Let me give you the English definition of terrible, and then we'll look up the Hebrew word of terrible in this passage. Now, terror is something of extreme fear. This is terrible is something that has extremely distressing. Something that is awful and dreadful. See, because you should look at him in that fashion. Now, for the Gur, you got Gamal, U, and Raj. So as you sit back and look at how this messenger has secured you to Elohim, the only way that's going to happen is because you are fearful of this man. You hold him in respect, and you look at him in awe. Because the reason we'll look at this here, these were just Malachim, these people seen, and these people were terrified. That's why when you hear people talk about, if I see a demon, I'm a fighter. No, you're not. Terror is going to come upon you. I'm going to be honest with you. If you find yourself in an instance where you feel literal, unadulterated terror, then you know a Malachim is in your presence. Because like I said, terror and scared is two different things. Terror is different. Most people ain't never experienced no terror. Most of you've been afraid. I'm telling you, if you find yourself in the presence of the living Elohim and terror does not envelop you, you are a wicked individual. And there's no other way around that. There is no way around that. For terrible. And it's the word that you should know. It's Youre or Yahuah. That's to be fearful. To inspire reverence or godly fear or awe. And that's what she said his face was like. Terrible. She said, hey, boy, that was awe-inspiring. That junk had me scared. You ain't going to be like Pinky. I was scared, but I held my own. No, you just going to be scared. It also shows you how those Malachim, they go around telling you their name because their names are not important. That's one of the things I told you that in the past. You run across somebody who preached the word and say they're the servant of Elohim, and they always got to make sure that you know who their name is. Well, they're not an Elohim. Because boy, them angels popped up on people, never told nobody their name. These people, they know who these people are. What you want to, ain't that what they told them that I think he said that here. What you need to know my name for? Why is that important? No, I get you, man. It's not, Malachim's are servants to the heirs of salvation. But definitely, if you come in their presence, you're going to be scared. Remember, we're going to read it. Daniel fell down dead. Verse 7. But behold, but he said unto me, Behold, you shall conceive and bear a son, and not drink no wine nor strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing, for the child shall be a Nazarite to Elohim from the womb to the day of his death. Then Manoah entreated Yahuah and said, O my Lord, let the man of Elohim which you did send come again unto us, and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born. Now we still got to keep going over that because we talked about that when I was in Psalm 45. Y'all remember that what we read in Psalm 45? Hold on, let me go find that place. Just in case y'all don't remember. See, I ain't forget about it. We got a lot of stuff to look at. Remember that in Psalms 45, he said, because of truth, meekness, and righteousness, your right hand shall teach you terrible things. So this man going to teach you how to fear Yahuah by what? By meekness, by righteousness, and by faith. That's the only way you're going to have it. And I'm mentioning that because what do we sit back and say what Manoah said? Can you send back that man Elohim so he could teach us what we should do? See, that's the difference between that man and men of this time. Because you're not going to call on Elohim and say, can you send somebody to teach me what I ought to do for my son? You're going to feel like you're going to do it. Elohim hearkened unto the voice of Manoah, and the Malachim of Elohim came to get unto the woman as she sat in the field, but Manoah, her husband, was not with her. The woman made haste and ran and showed her husband and said unto him, behold, the man hath appeared unto me that came unto me the other day. Manoah arose and went after his wife and came to the man and said, are you the man that spake unto the woman? He said, I am. Manoah said, now let your words come to pass. How shall we order the child? How shall we do unto him? When you look at order, of course, that's mishpat. Show me the judgment. And the Malachim of Yahuah said unto Manoah, of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. She may not eat of anything that come of the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. All that I command her, let her observe. Manoah said unto the Malachim of Yahuah, I pray you, let us detain you until we have made ready a kid for you. The Malachim of Yahuah said unto me, though you detain me, I will not eat your bread. And if you offer a burnt offering, you must offer it unto Yahuah. For Manoah knew not that this was a Malachim of Yahuah. Manoah said unto the Malachim of Yahuah, what is your name? Then that when the sayings come to pass, we may do you honor. The angel of Yahuah said unto him, why seek you after my name, seeing it is a secret? But you know why? He was going to esteem the Malachim and not Yahuah. Look at what the Malachim did off the top. First thing that he stated was what? Nah, if you do a burnt offering, cuz you got to offer that up to Yahuah. He said, what's your name so we can do you honor? Nah, sir, that's what you're not going to do. That's what you're not going to do. But what he was doing is he was being a servant to an heir of salvation, meaning that Samson was to inherit to be a savior of Yasharal. Look what he told that woman. He told her the same thing. Let me tell you, son, you her husband. Everything I told her, she better listen to it. Because if she don't do it, guess what's going to happen? She going to die. Oh, she going to die. So Manoah took a kid with meat offering and offered it upon a rock unto Yahuah, and the angel did wondrously, and Manoah and his wife looked on. So when you look at him doing wondrously, of course, y'all remember we dealt with that before. That is Allah. He did something wonderful and extraordinary before their face. For it came to pass when the flame went up toward Shamahim from off the altar, that the Malachim of Yahuah ascended in the flame of the altar, and Manoah and his wife looked upon it and fell on their faces to the ground. But the Malachim of Yahuah did no more appear to Manoah and to his wife. Then Manoah knew it was a Malachim of Yahuah, and Manoah said unto his wife, we shall surely die because we seen Elohim. See, they didn't know they were dealing with a Malachim. They thought they were talking to a regular man. They thought they were talking to a prophet. But the minute that he did wondrously, that's when the fear came. They're like, whoa. And what does his wife tell him? His wife said unto him, if Yahuah were pleased to kill us, he would have not received the burnt offering and the meat offering at our hands. Neither would he have showed us all these things, nor would at this time have told us such things as these. See, this is one of the instances of, this doesn't make Manoah weak. He just think about the world. Well, we've seen God, we're going to die. This is the benefit of having a wise wife. Because that's what she said, baby, we all be good. Because neither one is wrong. He's not wrong. He's like, oh boy, he done did this here, boy, we finna die. We done seen Elohim. Because what is his mind going to? The law. A man cannot see Elohim face to face and live. That's what his mind went to. But because the Malachim came and made the promise to her first, and then came, she looking at this here like, okay. Clearly, he didn't accept our offering. He done told us things of this, that, there, and the third. Oh, no, we good. Because see, the faith that a woman has with Elohim is different as forth as how it's administered to, how he comes and administers that to them. Because he did the same thing with Elizabeth and Mary. Still, he approaches them differently with that. See, with a man, he has a man believe him on the strength of that word. See, these men, they looking at that word. See, he worked for those women because those women have to see. See, he did the same thing with Hannah. He works with the women when those women are in distress and brings those works to pass so those women know who they're dealing with. See, it's a little different when you're dealing with a woman. You make a promise to a woman, and then you have to show that woman the fulfilling of the promise that you made, and she is going to be loyal forever if she is any type of woman. If she's any type of woman. See, a lot of dudes ain't dealing with any, are not dealing with good and upright women, so they don't understand that and know that. If you make a promise to a woman, key component is a woman, and fulfill that promise, that woman is riding with you for the rest of your life. See, a lot of dudes get messed up because you be lying to women. What you lying to them for? What you selling dreams to them for? For what? For what? That's unnecessary. It's completely and totally unnecessary. Dudes only do that because you know you're not going to do what you said you was going to do. And you should have just not said it. Daniel chapter 10, I believe. And that takes us back to what Yahuah is. Lie to you for what? Ten and 7. Lie to you for what? Yahuah ain't got to lie to you. Daniel 10 and 7. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but great quaking fell upon them, so they fled to hide themselves. They were in the presence of Elohim. This is the same token, of course, you see, we talked about this in the past, an inkling with Paul, that Paul seen a vision and the people with him didn't, and everyone was enraptured with fear and awe because they were in the presence of Elohim. You see the same thing in Isaiah chapter 6 when he said, oh, my eyes have beheld the king. Well, you're not going to be in the presence of Elohim and fear don't overtake you. You lying to me. Therefore, I was left alone and saw the great vision, and there remained no more strength in me. For my comeliness was turned into me into corruption. I retained no strength. Yeah, I heard the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then I was in a deep sleep on my face, and my face towards the ground. And behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto you, and stand upright. For unto you am I now sent. When he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. That's all inspiring. See, a lot of individuals, they don't feel you like that. That's what I mean. Believe you me, when you're in the presence of the power of Elohim, it will elicit terror in your heart. Your heart will feel like it dropped to your toenail. It's a different type of thing. Most people don't have it. They're going to have it when they stand before that throne, though. Back to Psalm 22, verse 24. For he have not despised nor abhorred the affliction of the afflicted, neither has he hid his face from him, but when he cried unto him, he heard. I want you to hear that again. He has not despised nor abhorred the affliction of the afflicted, neither has he hid his face from him. Now, you know that in regards to Mashiach, but you need to know that in regards to yourself. If you're being afflicted for righteousness' sake, this man is not going to do that. Let's continue. My praise shall be of you in the great congregation. I will pay my vows before them that fear you. The meek shall eat and be satisfied. They shall praise Yahuah that seek him. Your heart shall live forever. All the ends of the world shall remember and turn unto Yahuah, and all the kindreds of the nations shall worship before you. For the kingdom is Yahuah's, and he is the governor among the nations. That's why we read all that to understand this here, that the meek shall eat and be satisfied. So I want you to come over here to Matthew 26, which one good time for the good time, about 26 and 23. He said the meek are going to eat and be satisfied. After we read that, I want to go to Proverbs chapter 1. Again, the meek are going to eat and be satisfied. And I guess I'll read Revelation just on the strength. Matthew 26. I'll read 26. I only want one verse. Well, come on, man. There we go. Matthew 26 and 26. And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and blessed it and gave it. Gave it unto the disciples, and take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, drink you all of it. But this is my blood of the New Testament, until the day when I drink it new with you. I read that because if you're drinking wine, that means you're eating. Oh, you bald-headed. Oh, you. It says that you're going to eat and be satisfied. Satisfied is Saba. Of course, that is to have one's skill or the desire satisfied. Shan, Bat, and Ayin. So what is this here? You have known and been paired to the sun. That is the only way that you're going to be on. Funky or you. I'm saying that because a lot of people in the world are not satisfied because they're not paired to a man, i.e., they're not paired to Yahuah. See, we've believed all the hype and the stuff that the world teaches. Where a woman feels like she don't need no man, you're incomplete. Because that what you were taken out of the man to be a helpmeet to the man. So of course you feel satisfied. See, and the thing is that they're seeking satisfaction from manufactured things, automobiles, fiat currency, homes, houses, cars, and all these type of things. But then these women go home and they get drunk and they take psychotropic meds because they're not fulfilling what Yahuah created them to do. You're out of whack. You're not in your natural use. Well, you got people out here, man, we wonder why they use sex, they use alcohol, they use drugs, they use social media, whatever the stuff that people use to fill that void. You're not satisfied because you're not paired to a man. You have not known and experienced what it is to be paired to your husband. See, a woman who knows what it is to be paired to a man who has invested in her, a man who cares for her, a man who loves her. When I'm talking about invested in her, I'm talking about invested in her care. Not just her care financially, but her care mentally and spiritually. He is invested in caring for her well-being. That is a different type of satisfaction for her. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you too. If you want to know the levels of masculinity in a man, all you would need to know is how comfortable and secure is his woman in his presence. The more masculine he is, the more secure and comfortable she will be. If that woman is not comfortable and secure, she does not respect his masculinity. That's why you see lesbians act the way that they act, because neither one of them can ever be confident and secure in the other. It's never going to happen. It's just not going to happen. They convince themselves that it's not. And when you look at an individual, the level of submission to Yahuah, that's why he say, according to your faith, let it be done. The greater the faith, the greater the trust, the greater the level of security. Or as the writer of the Epistle of the Hebrews put it, we have an anchor to the soul. These people are very secure and their trust in Yahuah is high. Individuals who not so much. But again, it says the meek shall eat. Some came to my mind. Luke 14, I believe. Says the meek shall eat and be satisfied. I said mention something else. I don't remember what it was. There it is. Luke 14 and 15. You know what? But you can pick it up in 7, because 15 is just going to be so isolated that it ain't going to make no sense. And he put forth a parable to those which were bidden when he marked, how they chose out the chief room, saying unto them, when you are bidden of any man to a wedding, sit not down in the highest room, lest a more honorable man than you be bidden of him. And he that bade you and him come say to you, give this man place. And you begin with shame to take the lowest room. But when you are bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room. And when he that bade you come, that he may say unto you, friend, go up higher. Then you shall have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with you. For whosoever exalts himself shall be abased. He that humbleth himself shall be exalted. This is taking you to the meekness. See, you think you hot stuff, so you run up here, and then somebody come tell you there's a more righteous man than you. You need to go down here. Yes, that's exactly what happened to Haman. I'm going to the upper room. Nah, we need to bring the man whom the king has desired to honor. Here come Mordecai. Go down here, boy. And you looking there looking stupid. What's going on? But what does it take you that? Indeed, let others esteem you. Let another man praise you, not your own lips. But then this also shows you how the meek will eat and be satisfied, because he just told you that you'll go down and sit down and eat with me. See, if you in the lower room, you ain't sitting down eating with nobody. Oh, you going to hell. That's what that means. See how he just weed that Psalm 22 in there on it real quick? The meek gonna eat and be satisfied. The meek gonna be able to go up into that upper room and eat and be and have their desires fulfilled. Then he said also to him that bade him, when you are make a dinner or a supper, call not your friends nor your brethren, neither your kinsmen nor your rich neighbors, lest they should bid you again and recompense be made you. But when you make a feast, call the poor, the maimed, the lame, and the blind, and you shall be blessed, for they cannot recompense you, for you shall be recompensed at the resurrection of the Zadok or the just. And when one of them that sat at meat with him heard these things, he said unto him, blessed is he that shall eat bread in the kingdom of Elohim. See, the man who heard that, he had some understanding. He said, blessed be that man. Because why? Because the Proverbs 1, that's what I wanted. Praise the Lamb. They are going to eat and be satisfied. Those who are willing to submit are going to eat and be satisfied. See, we read in Psalms, everything you read in Psalms 22, which y'all already know, which I ain't really focused on it, is the crucifixion of Mashiach. Now, the reason why I didn't focus on it, because those who don't believe in Mashiach, this is where they like to run to, because everybody who say they believe in Mashiach, this is where they take. See, the dogs compassed him and he pierced him in his hands and his feet. These people already got an argument. So there's no even need to go around that corner for something that they know and they're ready to argue. See, I'm not going to argue with somebody who don't believe in Mashiach. That's your personal business. I really don't care. I told a brother that on a blog talk some years back. He told me, "Oh, you care?" I said, "If that's what you want to tell yourself, if that's what you want to tell yourself, I don't care." And when I say I don't care, meaning I'm not here to convince or persuade you to believe in something that you have said that you don't want to hear. Now, if you want to have a dialogue, we can have a conversation, and I can tell you why that I view it the way that I view it. But if you think that I'm finna over here and try to utterly convince you to believe in something that you have stated that you have no desire to believe in, oh no, I'm not doing that. I don't care enough to do that. Because this same individual who told me, "Oh, you care," called my phone and cussed me out because I wouldn't go along with what he was talking about. Bro, I don't care if you don't believe that, bro. That ain't no skin off my back. See, we get all agitated and frustrated and amped up because you're trying to convince people to see things your way. And there's no need to do that. There's no need to do that. For what? Everyone is a man and everyone is entitled to their perspectives. Now, there is no perspective on the word of Elohim. The word of Elohim is simply that. The word of Yahuah is the word of Yahuah. It says what it says. It's going to be what it's going to be. It's going down how he has planned it. Nevertheless, if a man has a particular perspective on the text, I'll listen to his perspective. I'm not going to knock him and mock him for it. Because some people, you don't believe in Mashiach, then we get back. Well, that's a surefire way to try to persuade him on back over. If that's what you was thinking, that's definitely going to work. But you have to sit back and you have to understand that you should be able to have a civilized discourse with someone who does not hold the same perspective and views as you. Not because you're trying to be persuaded, but that you can understand where they're coming from, that maybe you could present your information in a fashion that could make better sense to them if your intent was to actually win them over to your side. See, most of us are not trying to win people over to win their soul. You're trying to prove that you're right. And there's no need to do that. That's a pure lack of skill, lack of wisdom. You know what I'm saying? I done talked to plenty of people in my day, and we did not see things in the same fashion. And I can hear them out. I don't have to agree with you. It only gets ugly when they get ugly. When they get ugly, we got to get ugly. And I'm a disrespectful nigga, so I ain't got no problem with it. I'm a sarcastic, rude individual. I don't mind. I ain't got no problem with it. Seems like these boys ain't been killing people that much lately. That's a good thing. I just say that for this notification that I received, that they got a reward for a murder. Ain't got a lot of murder notifications from News for Jackson. Maybe they just ain't dropping them. Either way, thank the Lord. Maybe these boys calm down a little bit, because these boys been wilding about the last 3 years, I tell you that. Proverbs chapter 1. What I want out of Proverbs chapter 1, just the end. These boys were killing during an alleged lockdown. With no regard. They said, y'all supposed to be in the house. Y'all out here murdering people. Proverbs 1 and 24. Because I really want to end, but I have to lead up to this. Because Proverbs 1 and 24 is just showing you the effects of not submitting and the lack of honor and respect. Because I've called, you know what? Make that 23. He said, turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour my ruach unto you, and I'll make my words known unto you. One of the things that we don't want to do is we don't want to turn at his correction. And the man is telling you that he'll pour his spirit right on you. And he'll plainly show you what his, or the instead of the letter of the law, the ruach. You'll be willing to circumcise yourself in the heart because you'll be willing to humble yourself. Or it's like how Peter put it, that those that suffer in the flesh cease from sin because Mashiach suffered in the flesh. Well, why did he suffer in the flesh? Because he came in the form of a man and humbled himself even unto death, even the death of the stake. Why? Because that's what we're talking about in Psalms 22. Why the meek will eat and be satisfied, because he was willing to set something greater than himself, and the level of admiration, awe, fear, and reverence and respect that he had for his father. Unfortunately for us, most of us, you didn't have that. You might have respected your daddy, but you didn't hold him in high esteem. See, there's a difference of loving your daddy and respecting your daddy and literally being in awe of him. The level of respect that you have for him. And unfortunately for most of us as men, you don't have that. Especially, I mean, black men specifically, whether it's a father, or uncle, granddaddy, most of us don't have that. And it's an extreme hindrance. And as I was telling somebody, and you don't necessarily inspire that in your offspring through the threat of corporal punishment. See, you would have to understand something, right? If every time your kids get out of pocket and you automatically spaz, that will cause them not to hold you in the highest level of esteem that they can hold you in, because they would already know that my father is emotional. That when something happens, that he will lose his cool and he will spaz out. See, I'm not talking about raising your voice to a certain level where they know that you're not playing with them. Well, they know they need to get their conduct in line. I'm talking about allowing, because when I'm talking about being emotional, I'm talking about allowing anger to overtake you. I told you this before. Y'all can't let nobody who do on themselves drive you crazy. You can't let nobody who you had to teach to stop doodling on themselves to drive you crazy. Keep that in mind. You literally had to teach these children how to not poop on themselves. If you have to teach someone to not defecate on themselves, there's no way that you can allow them to drive you crazy. That means you are in a superior position to them. That means there is nothing that they should be able to do to cause you to lose restraint of your emotions. What happens is we get aggravated and agitated, and all you're experiencing is how Yahuah feels about you because you refuse to follow his instructions, and he gets agitated and aggravated, and that's why you see so many rainbows. So you look at a rainbow and you're like, oh, it's so beautiful, but that man is agitated and aggravated because you don't listen. I've told you this before. Everything that you don't like in life, he reflects it back to you. And the first thing that you should ask yourself is, am I serving my father/husband in this fashion? And if the answer is no, then okay, because you have to have a level of self-control. You know how many times Yahuah was angry with Yasharal, but because he had the level of not allowing anger to overtake him, that your lives were spared. Follow suit. You should not allow anger, which we can crack jokes, pop and whooping and all that there. But if you pay attention to how Yahuah raised his household, that corporal punishment was the what's the word I'm looking for? The elements of last resort. The elements of last resort. When he came through with the Musar, with your chastisement, with your correction, with your rebuke, he used different fashions to show you that your behavior was not appropriate in order to get your conduct in line of what he finds delightful. See, I'm only mentioning this for us. And when I say us, I'm talking about myself, including everyone, to examine the text, because what does the word tell us? Be ye like your Father, and be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. So if we're supposed to be paying attention, how does your Father raise his household? How does your Father manifest the role of a husband to his wife? How does he conduct himself with his wife? Because we're supposed to mimic that. We're supposed, man, bump all that dump of nigga teachings that we do, you know what I'm saying? We're dealing with the churn and what the world say do with your spouse. Mimic your God. You can't lose when you do that. There's no losing when you mimic your Elohim. How are you going to lose? He's undefeated. He cannot be defeated. He literally came in the flesh and defeated death and sin on your behalf. Praise you. That's what he really came to do. Defeated sin and death on your behalf. So really look at the nuances of how he conducts himself and emulate it. Because when you begin to emulate who he is, and I always mention this for a reason, because if you're looking at the nuance of how he behaves and you emulate it, that means you have done something. That means you have taken his word. You have eaten that roll and you're laying it up in your heart. And if you're laying it up in your heart, that means you have concocted, or you have confidence and trust in said word. And if you do that, guess what happens after that? He would fill you with his presence. And if you're filled with his presence, you're filled with everlasting life. The process of receiving the gift of life is very, very simple. It is not as complex as you think it is. But it is contained in the little things. It's contained in the discipline, and it's contained in consistency, and it's contained in submission and reverence. Let's continue. Turn you at my reproof, and behold, I will pour out my ruach unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Because I've called and you refused, and I stretched out my hand and no man regarded, but you said it not on my counsel, and with none of my reproof, I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear comes. And when your fear come as desolation and your destruction come as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then they shall call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me, for they have hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of Yahuah. You didn't choose to reverence your husband. See, look at what he's correlating with. See, the submission come into receiving his words. See, when you receive his words, then you're going to receive his will. When you receive his will, you're going to esteem his will greater than yours. And you said, no, I'm not going to do that. He said, and get what he told you. When your fear come, I am going to mock you. When your calamity come, he said, I'm going to laugh at you. See, that seemed cold, but that's what you desired. He said, they would none of my counsel that despised all my reproof. Therefore, they shall eat the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. He's just going to give you what you wanted. See, that's the essence of what we mentioned certain stuff. Some of y'all look at certain content of what you looking at, what a lot of men are telling women. You wanted to be independent. You wanted your own money, your own house, your own car. You let Boots and you let Neo, a nigga who allegedly don't even like women. You know what I'm talking about? Make you feel about Miss Independent and all that and the third. And these dudes out here said, you know what? You can have that. Now you're turning around and saying you want this man, this, that, and the third. They said, no, babe, you eat the fruit of your ways and you be filled with your own devices and you keep that. And you stay over there with that. Now you are upset because you're not understanding. But this goes back to don't love the world nor the things in the world because you want the fame, you want the money, you want the rulership, you want to kick it with Mr. Tyler, you want all this stuff, and you will say, you know what, that's fine. Have it. Then when you turn around looking back for him, see, you done made an Esau. You done gave up your birthright for a morsel of meat. You thought this birthright was not as valuable as what was in your face. And you will say, you know what? I'm going to fill you with your own way. Have it. That goes back to the instance what I was talking about before. When I told you the brother mentioned that sometimes what you have is your best option because that's the best thing for you. See, we always look at what we want versus what we need. See, now I heard a woman say this the other day. Who ain't sending no woman to no man? You know what I'm talking about? That's not happening. He gonna send the man to the woman. I know some people are, what about Ruth? He didn't send Ruth to that woman. I mean, to that man. She didn't send Ruth to Boaz. She wasn't around here like this here. Naomi said, I got to get a husband for her. And that this man who she knew was a kinsman was acceptable for her to marry. And what Naomi did is say, baby, listen to me. I'm going to make sure you're in proximity to this man so he can choose you. See, that's what a lot of women don't understand. If you want a certain type of man to choose you, you have to be in proximity of those type of men in order to be chosen. Them niggas ain't coming to look for you. You got to be where they at so they can see you, acknowledge you, and choose you. See, that's the whole key thing. See, what did he tell you where I am? That's where my servant will be. See, if you want Elohim, that's different because Elohim choose you. He gonna find you. Regardless where you at, that's a different type of thing. But if you want the blessings of Elohim, you got to be in his proximity. You got to be in his proximity. And if you're not in proximity to his word, and I'm not talking about being in proximity to his word based off what congregation you fellowship with, let that be known, because that's not what I'm referring to, because I don't want nobody to have it in their mind, and that's what I'm referring to. You got to be in proximity to Mashiach. You got to grow closer to him. He said, if you come near unto him, he'll come near unto you. You seek after him, you'll be found. You knock, he will answer. So you got to get in proximity to him. I don't want you to think that's talking about, because you can fellowship wherever you want to fellowship at and still not be in proximity to the word. Oh, no. Oh, no. You could be right there and you could go to 15 different places to fellowship for that word and still not be in proximity to Elohim. Oh, no. To draw near unto him, you got to draw near to him with this here, the mind and the heart. How you draw, that's how you get in proximity with him. Ain't no other way. Ain't no other way. See, that also the other point we were looking at, see that in that Luke 14, that's what Peter was trying to tell you. To cast all your cares upon him, he'll lift you up in due time. See, people want to be exalted early, especially men, and I get it for men. When we talked about this a couple weeks ago, when you look at what men have to deal with, men are not born with any inherent value from the womb. So he has to build himself up. And when he gets to a certain place, he wants to be praised for it. You know what I'm saying? That's why you take a nigga, because Derrick Jackson, the big old deal. That nigga was just a nigga at Tuskegee University. You know what I'm talking about? Who was trying to find his way. He found a lane. That lane made him wealthy. I don't know how much money he got, but he probably got a lot because he done sold a lot of books and a lot of seminars. They done paid a lot to be lied to. But in the midst of that, you want to be praised because you went from being a nobody to niggas want you on they newscast. Niggas want you on the people are paying you to talk. People are excited to see you. And what happens with a man, especially if he ain't rooted in the none, you begin to develop a level of pride in your ego because men have ego, and unfortunately, women are starting to develop bigger egos than men in this day and time. Men have egos. And now you beginning to be like this here. I want to be esteemed. I want to be praised. Look at me and look at what I'm doing. Now these women are giving you attention. You thinking with your penis, you're going to go out here and make a bad decision. Because see, him making bad decisions with his penis is going to mess with his earning potential. See, a lot of people feel like, oh, that junk ain't going to mess with his money. Oh, it's going to mess with his money. He's still going to be able to make some money, but he ain't going to be able to make the maximum. And now his legacy will forever be tainted because he will be known as a hypocritical liar. See, that can never go away. See, some of y'all know about Jimmy Swaggart if you're older, which is probably just me and each, and maybe Nell. Because I was a child with Jimmy Swaggart, but I remember white preacher, taught a whole bunch of stuff, you know what I'm saying? I caught with the hoes. And then he had to get on TV with that cry, I have sinned, and did all this weeping, and this, and then the third. That's forever attached to his legacy. He can never get rid of that. You know what I'm saying? You take Jim Baker. What was it called? PTL, praise the Lord. You know what I'm saying? What they used to call them people? Televangelists. That's what they call them. Televangelists. You know what I'm saying? He got caught stealing that money. That's forever attached to his legacy. You can't get rid of that. See, when you look at the beauty of Mashiach, what does his legacy entail? He came and died for the sins of the people and resurrected from the dead. He was a meek man, an honorable man, a wise man, a man of judgment and righteousness, mercy and compassion. That's his legacy. That is his legacy. That is what is attached to his name. Yeah, you got people who hate on him that try to other, but his legacy is that. That's why you go get immersed in his death so his legacy can become yours. Which is what? Why a woman would marry a man of good worth, because his legacy become hers. Women who are married to just men, they're always attached and mentioned to this. You know who Manoah's wife is because Manoah was a just man, clearly. Because Yahuah don't impregnate any wicked people. He ain't popping up and showing up on nobody and saying, hey, man, I'm going to put a baby in your womb, man. And then, of course, you know he had to be just because he prayed to Yahuah that he would send the Malachim back so he could know what to do. Let me get on out of here, man. Verse 32 of Proverbs 1. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearken unto me shall dwell safely and shall be quiet from the fear of evil. Just know that. Just know that. Revelation 3, because we continue. Like I said, I'm going to take my time. It's a lot of stuff to deal with meekness, just meekness in itself. It's something that we ain't never sat down to isolate it. We're willing, it's time to isolate it. Revelation chapter 3 and verse 20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. Now, y'all know that Revelation 19 tell you about, the marriage supper of the Lamb, and that they had on the fine linen, which is the righteousness of the saints, is the honor. And that honor comes from the anava and the Youre, or the humility and the fear. When we read all that in Psalm 22, and let me finish Psalm 22 all the way out. It was all about the suffering of Mashiach and his humility to suffer. I'm going to read verse 26 again. This is why he's able to eat and be satisfied. And that made that do that if you praise Yahuah to seek him, because your heart will live forever. And again, it's going to seek after to be in proximity to him. Because he said, whosoever have my commandments and do them, I will come and be one with him and manifest myself unto him. Verse 26 of Psalm 22, the meek shall eat and be satisfied, and they praise Yahuah. They shall praise Yahuah that seek him. Your heart shall live forever. All the ends of the world shall remember and turn unto Yahuah, and all the kindreds of the nations shall worship before you. For the kingdom is Yahuah's, and he's the governor among the nations. All that be fat upon the earth shall eat and worship. All they that go down to the dust shall bow before him. None can keep alive his own soul. A seed shall serve him, not seeds of many, but seeds of one. That seed being, it shall be accounted to the Lord for a generation. And of course, you know that is a period or age. That seed that will serve him, that is accounted to the Lord for the generation. Let me just go ahead and tell you what it is, because I got to open in the book, Revelation 20. Let's just go ahead so y'all can see that seed for that generation that's going to serve the Lord. Or counted to the Lord for a generation, because it said a seed is going to serve him. Revelation chapter 20 and verse 4. If it didn't pop in your mind, let's just go ahead and look at it. And I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua and for the word of Elohim, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Mashiach 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and Kadash is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death have no power. But they shall be priests of Elohim and of Mashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. This is the seed that will serve him, that shall be recounted or retold as a generation. They shall come and they shall declare his righteousness unto a people that shall be born, that he has done this. Now you got Bod, Nagad, Zadok, Yalad, and Asah. And when we look at Asah, that means he has done or produced this work. And when we look at this production of that work, it's all back in Psalms 22, which is dealing with what? His suffering or his crucifixion or his anava or his ability to submit and yield and fulfill his Father's will. So hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. We will pick this up, Yah willing, on tomorrow and continue down this path of understanding the importance of having humility and the fear of Yahuah, so that you can be honored and that you can be rich and that you can have everlasting life. I bless y'all in the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua, and I appreciate your time. Prayerfully, all things were understood. Let all things be considered. Let the breath of praise be in your tongue, on your lips, and in your heart, and let your Elohim be esteemed and stand forth in his righteousness. And Yahuah willing, until the next time.